Welcome to Dodgers Dogs. As part of the Dodgers Daily Network, Casey Porter here, joined by Mark Watkins, as I am each and every Thursday. Mark, we've been texting, but we have not talked in about a week. I know you are super frustrated with the way things are going the way everybody is, so dive in.
Definitely. Great to join you as always, Casey. Live from Las Vegas today, actually.
Yeah.
But it's incredibly frustrating. And it's just to lose get swept by the Angels again, for the second time this season. Obviously, subpar team. But it doesn't give you a lot of confidence going into the series against the Padres. It's just a combination of things that the Dodgers are just not clicking at all.
Mm-hmm. Does this team have a switch? We talked about this with Coach Holt yesterday. Is there a switch out there somewhere where this team could just flip it to on and flip that switch and all of a sudden be the team we want them to be? Is that switch exist?
I hope so. It's hard to say, but maybe playing the Padres will give them a boost of intensity. It's unfortunate if that's what it takes, but maybe sometimes that's human nature, to dial it up a little bit when you go against the best teams. I know the Dodgers, they were struggling earlier in the year, and they went into some games against National League West rivals, the Padres and the Giants, and they did turn it on and win those series against them. So hopefully they'll repeat that here, going against the Padres for upcoming series.
I know on July 2nd, the Dodgers had a 9-game lead. But if you go back 2-3 weeks before that, the Giants had crept up and they had pulled within 2 games of the Dodgers. So not necessarily to this nuclear, I've used that term quite a bit lately, not to this nuclear extent where you actually did lose the lead. But we've seen that the Dodgers kind of scuffle a little bit and then recover, and then rebuild a lead. So hopefully that's what this situation is going to be. But if that happens, the offense, just literally things have to just start coming together. Really right now, I know that the first thing you wanted to talk about was the starting pitching. So I think really that's what you need to hang your hat on. So dive into the starting pitching.
Yes, absolutely. Obviously having Glasnow and Snell back is huge. So that's going to help a lot. Yamamoto's been kind of inconsistent lately, but I'm sure that he'll come around. Their starting pitching is kind of rounding into shape now. Ohtani, well, this series, obviously, all 3 starters just didn't pitch very well. But going forward, I expect that they will. Just having a rotation, Ohtani, Snell, Glasnow, and then Kershaw. Sheehan had been pitching well, but this series was just a mess.
Yeah, it actually was. And I kind of chalk up the woes with the starting pitching in the last 3 games as just the whack-a-mole factor. The Dodgers are in one of those stretches to where it seems like you whack one mole, then 3 other moles pop up on the other side. It just always seems like you're one mole behind, right? So it just seems you're trying to fix the offense, you're trying to fix the defense, you're trying to rely on the starting pitching to stabilize things long enough to fix all this over here. And then as you're doing that, then the starting pitching starts letting you down. So it's just one of those deals to where you have one leak and you spring 2 more whenever you fix one, right?
Yeah, it just feels like they can't seem to get everything going at the same time. Their offense has been off and on all year. They haven't had a situation where they have 3 hot hitters at a time. They've had a couple here and there. Mookie's obviously struggled pretty much all year up until recently. They just can't seem to get it all together at the same time.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And so here's the thing. We're not going to sit around and wall around in negativity all day long. You have to cover it, because if you don't cover the past at least long enough, you're not going to be able to correct it moving forward. So you have to cover all the negatives, but then you have to kind of figure out where you're at from there and how do we move on from here. I'm big on, hey, yeah, you got to talk about all the stuff that you're not doing well, but you're only talking about it in a sense of, how do we keep from that happening in the future? So I'll say this, as we move forward and we get excited about the Padres series, everything that's happened to this point, throw it in the trash can, because the National League West is going to come down to the next couple of series, likely with the Padres. Everything is back to square one. It is what it is. If you go and you kick the Padres' ass, everything is going to be okay. So I think that's kind of how you have to look at it at this point.
Yeah, I agree. And, I think it was 2020. The Dodgers went through a stretch like this, when they won that World Series where they, for close to a month too, they were just playing terribly. And
how about 2017?
Yeah,
that was the worst one. Yeah.
Yeah. And so a lot of fans, kind of the fair weather fans gave up on him and said, oh, this season's over, but baseball is just such a weird game, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if the Dodgers turn it around as much talent as they have and go on a tear again.
Yeah. One of the things they needed Max Muncy to come back, and it looked like he wasn't going to skip a beat. I mentioned 2 shows ago, not yesterday. Actually, it may have been, it was yesterday's show, that his at-bats on Tuesday didn't look good. It wasn't just that he got out. It was like, it looked like he was reaching for the ball. It looked like it was like his first 3 at-bats of his rehab. And sure as heck, you've got the issues now with, I think it's, his rib cages in that area, whatever that may be, the soreness there. That totally makes sense because Max Muncy looked like he was protecting something in his at-bats on Tuesday. That really sucks because he was coming into form. And if you don't have a Max Muncy driving in runs in the middle of this lineup, that is a huge hit.
It is, and he's a much bigger key to this lineup than a lot of people realize, I think. Obviously, when he was out, they were really struggling offensively. So he's a huge part of the lineup, and I really hope, obviously, that he's not going to be out for too long. But a rib cage injury, that can set you back for a while. So hopefully that won't happen.
Even if you're in the lineup, if it's a rib cage injury, that's kind of my point about his at-bats Tuesday. It's going to affect the way that you swing the bat. So even if he's in there, that doesn't mean he's Max Muncy. That just means he's a guy that's in there trying to just be in there and post for his team despite the fact that he's injured. So give me your thoughts on Alex Freeland to this point. I think Alex is pressing a little bit. I think he's hit that rookie confidence wall, if you will. Do the Dodgers have enough time down the stretch, or is it too high stakes to continue to try to plug him in? Now, it won't matter if you don't get Edman and Max Muncy or Kike back, but if you do get one of those guys back, is there enough time to get Alex Freeland comfortable?
I think so. I think, they'll probably have to keep him in there until those guys come back, or at least one of them comes back, and just hope that he's able to turn it around and regain his confidence. It's typical ups and downs of a rookie season, and I think that he'll bounce back. He'll make adjustments and bounce back.
Mm-hmm. There is we've said, Mark, you said this right off the bat. You were absolutely 1,000% spot on with this. Hey, part of the Dalton Rushing deal, yes, you're giving Will Smith some rest, so you can get Will Smith further into the season with his great offense. But another thing you're giving him is a challenge. I don't think that him watching Dalton Rushing getting 2 hits on Tuesday, I don't think that's a coincidence that Will Smith had a good day yesterday, too. That internal competition between extremely competitive young men like Will Smith and Dalton Rushing, who, by the way, went to the same college, I think that's definitely a factor.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised you remember me saying that, but yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes that helps, when you have a young guy come in and you're looking at, hey, I don't want him, making me putting my job in jeopardy here. Who's that? Like Lou Gehrig. I remember it was Wally Pipp, right? Wally Pipp came and sat down a day, and that was it.
That's it.
Lou
That was it. That's not going to happen with Will Smith. But I promise you, Will Smith has enough pride to where he's like, hey, I love Dalton. We're great teammates. We're brothers, but I ain't letting that son bitch be better than me. I'll promise you.
Absolutely.
You got, and that's good. That's all positive stuff there.
Right.
Okay, so kind of positive and negative. I love the Dawgs in the bullpen. They are doing everything they can to be as good as they can. They have been asked to do too much, but you got to call it what it is. It's been very inconsistent. It has not been reliable on the back end of it. So I'm just kind of schizophrenic with the bullpen right now. I'm like, I want to defend them and I want to say, hey, they've been warriors and all this and that. But then at the same time, you got to call it what it is, what it's been lately. So where are we at in the bullpen?
It's sketchy, like you said. I mean, there's guys that are coming back and trying to get back in the flow, like Blake Trinan. And Henriquez, he was throwing 103 miles an hour. He was really dialing it up, but when you throw straight fastballs, major league hitters, they'll hit him. He threw that pitch 103 miles an hour. It was so hoppy, right? That
yeah, major leaguers will time a bullet if you throw it straight.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So you have to. Sometimes it's better to throw 98 with movement instead of 103 straight down the middle. So
yeah,
Henriquez has some things to learn there. Just straight velocity doesn't do it. But yeah,
and location. You can't just throw it right down the middle like you did. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. You got to have the command and hit the spots and change eye level, etc. But there's a few guys. Vesia was a little surprising that he came in and gave up the lead. But he's been their best reliever all year, and they still have some guys they're waiting to get back, and hopefully will get back too, like Kopech. But we'll see what happens. They're still a work in progress in the bullpen.
I know you're still reeling about the fact that Dodgers got 13 walks the other day and only scored one freaking run off the 13 walks. Man, that's still one of those that my head's still swimming on that one.
Yeah, that's almost impossible to do, I feel like.
Man.
10 hits and 13 walks, and I think they've only done that 3 or 4 times, maybe had 10 walks and 10 hits and not won a game. But to get 13 walks, because usually in any game, a high percentage of guys who walk will come around and score, and to have 13 of them and still not, score only one run, it's amazing, very frustrating.
I am a little bit more confident than you are. I do think maybe not totally to the extent that we're all going to want. I do think there's a switch there. I think Mookie's hitting better, Freddie's hitting better, Shohei's been awesome. It's going to hurt if you don't have Max, but I think Teo's coming around. I think they can incorporate Dalton Rushing's bat into the lineup a little bit better. So I think there is a better future ahead of this team. I don't know. The ceiling's not as high and the floor is lower than I thought it would be. I'm going to readily admit that. But I do think that the Padres series is the exact spark that they need. So before we get into our Down the Farm segment, just kind of wrap up our Dodgers segment with a bow here.
Well, I do believe that with all the talent this team has and the guys that are coming back from injuries, I do think they'll turn it around. And they still, this late in the season, haven't hit their stride, but I do feel that they have it in them, and they're proud champions, and I still have hopes that they will turn it around. And even if they somehow don't make the playoffs, or don't win the division, they'll still be in the playoffs. And okay. Sometimes
I was going to say, man, whoa, no playoffs. Get the hell out of here with that kind of crap, Mark.
No, they'll be in the playoffs. But last year, I think it helped them to have that competition down the stretch, because in seasons where they've won the division easily, it seemed like they went into the playoffs on cruise control. But if they have to fight to the end, that could be beneficial to them.
Although I think the one exception to that would be 2021, when them and the Giants just absolutely duked it out to the point where I think both teams were totally exhausted. But beyond that, I totally agree with you on that. Yeah. So let's not waste more time. Let's take a trip down on the farm.
All right.
Okay, so this is Edgardo Henriquez. Dive into Edgardo Henriquez. Of course, he's not on the farm anymore. We saw him last night. He gave up the big hit to Logan O'Hoppe. But it's good to see that lightning bolt for Edgardo Henriquez pitching again for the Dodgers.
Yes, definitely. I'm not seeing the video yet, by the way, Casey, but
okay,
my end. But I mean, he's as I mentioned, he's throwing 103 miles an hour. He's really seems to be throwing harder than ever. He has great stuff. He just, as we talked about, he just needs to have better command and get that movement on his pitches and mix it up better on the hitters, and he can be very effective.
He can. Again, he's got to move the ball a little bit. Like you said, he's got to locate better. He's got to learn that you can't just throw 103 right down the middle. Does not matter how hard you throw. Major league hitters will time it up. So we're a little bit limited on time, so I'm going to bounce around just a little bit here. We're going to move now to Chris Newell. Chris Newell, the treasure trove of tools, has started turning into results. He's been maybe the best player in all the minor leagues in the last month, and I am not exaggerating.
Yeah, he's been on a real tear, and I wasn't sure really how much of a prospect he was, a legit prospect, but lately he's really looking like he could be a guy that could make it to the major leagues.
Chris Newell, as good as he's hitting over 400 this month, he has been the Texas League Player of the Week 2 out of the last 3 weeks in the Texas League. So Chris Newell, again, he's always been a great defender. Now the Dodgers have all these outfielders. He has really, really turned it on. So keep an eye on Chris Newell. Hopefully he continues to finish strong. And then another guy last night, how about this? The son of Phil Nevin, Kyle Nevin, hits for the cycle. And not only did Kyle Nevin hit for the cycle, his home run was a grand slam. I don't know that I've ever heard of that.
Yeah, I'm not sure I have either. I don't think I have, but yeah, he's really, that was impressive, I have to say, and he has some definite ability. He can really hit.
Yeah, he can. He's got that tall frame. He's gotten a lot better at third base. It's going to come down to laying off that high pitch, because I love the way that he uses the middle of the field. He's got a lot of pull side power. But, Kyle Nevin was 5'5" as a sophomore in high school. He grew like an entire foot in 1 year. So I say that to say he was a little guy growing up, so he had to learn how to hit like a little guy. Then he got big and added the power to that little guy profile as an offensive player. So that's why now Kyle Nevin can both hit the ball up the middle to the opposite field and also hit for pull side power. So this is Eduardo Quintero, still doing okay, not quite as good at the high A level as he did at the single A Rancho level, but still a really great prospect in Eduardo Quintero. Here's his 2 hits from last night. I think we're losing Mark. Mark's coming in and out. So we'll just, if I hear Mark, go ahead and talk if you have a chance to. But again, Mark is on assignment in Las Vegas, so he may come in and out. Can you hear me, Mark? I don't think Mark can hear me, so I'll go ahead and continue.
Yeah, I can hear you, Casey.
Yeah, there you go. So dive into Eduardo Quintero.
Yeah, I had a chance to meet Eduardo in Ranch Cucamonga and see him play there. And he has a world of talent, obviously. And typically it takes these guys, once they move up a level, it takes them a little while to adjust. So, and even though he's not struggling by any means, he's not doing as well as he was in Rancho Cucamonga. But I think, within a couple of months, he'll heat up and really go on another tear there. He'll adjust to that level.
Yeah, I totally agree. And another guy who is totally adjusted. He has found his offensive game. He wanted to add power, kind of like Austin Gauthier, didn't work. Kendall George has gone back to his roots. He's slapping the ball the other way. He's hitting balls up the middle. He's just figuring out ways to get on base. He has really learned how to take that speed and turn it into results on the field. Kendall George. Yeah,
I love his game. And, sometimes, especially in the major leagues, they've been going launch angle, trying to turn all these guys into power hitters. And I think like a guy like Chris Taylor, I think it really hurt his career because he always kept trying to hit home runs all the time, and he wasn't a big guy. If he had just concentrated on getting hits and, maybe hitting the gaps and using his speed too, he would have been much better off for it. But Kendall George, to his credit, like you said, he's just slapping the ball and using his speed.
Yeah, no doubt. And another guy that it really, man, this guy's awesome. I'm telling you, you know me. I don't get too excited about guys till they show that they can make adjustments at the AA level. So take all of that in and understand, I'm not saying he's awesome like he's going to be in the major leagues in 2 or 3 years, but the tools, just watching Emil Morales play, this dude has a big-time presence. He has big-time tools. He has just a big-time baseball demeanor to him. I love Emil Morales. I just love watching him play. Now that, again, I'm not saying he's going to be able to make a major league someday. We'll have to see in AA and all that kind of deal. But as of right now, just evaluating what he's doing right now, I love Emil Morales.
Same here, yeah. And earlier in the year, I compared him, when he was in the Dominican League to Eduardo Quintero, because their numbers were kind of similar. They following kind of similar path. And Quintero had a little bit higher on base percentage, and Emil Morales had a little higher slugging percentage. But they are kind of following the same path, and they're both outstanding young hitters. But as you can see there, he's taking the ball to all the fields, and just he's an exciting young hitter.
He is, and he's just an absolutely awesome young man. I mean, absolutely awesome young man. So as we bring this back, we're both limited on time, both Mark and I. So we're going to have to cut it off there. We had 5 or 6 other guys that we wanted to get to, a couple more topics, but we are out of time. So Mark, here in about 30 seconds, what are your final thoughts?
Well, I mean, I'm excited to see the Dodgers go up against the Padres and kind of see what they're made of, see if they still have that champion mentality and they can step it up and kind of turn it on. But yeah, as you said, the next week or so is going to really be a test of their strength, and we'll see if they can pull it together.
Yeah, as crazy as it's been, if the Dodgers go and handle business with the Padres, I really do think everything's going to be okay. And then you can get hot. You have the best starting pitching available of any team. I still think that. And we know this is the offense that, till about a month and a half ago, was the best offense in the major leagues. So it's all there, and it's all right in front of you. It's not over. Just got to start playing good, got to take care of the Padres, and away you go. So, Mark, thank you a lot. Yeah. Hey, what a great job you've been doing on these podcasts, dude. Awesome job, man.
Thanks, Casey. I love talking Dodger baseball. Yeah. I could do that all day.
Absolutely. So all you Dodgers dogs, you are the absolute best baseball crowd out there. Not the biggest, but 100% the best baseball crowd on earth. No doubt about that. So until next time, which will be tomorrow morning with Coach Holt again on Friday, I want to thank you for tuning in and remind you it's a great day to be a Dodger.